It says recording, though, right? Not camera. I hope so.
And if you can't figure it out, you could just record on your computer, too.
Alright, here goes, I guess. For somebody suffering terminal illness, the constant physical and emotional pain is often unbearable. At 29 years old, Brittany Mayard, who was recently married and trying for a child, was diagnosed with brain cancer, which left her with a prognosis of 6 months to live. She was initially shocked and considered the quality of life she would be left with having to endure radiation and chemotherapy and experience possibly first-degree burns. This led her to look into assisted suicide. In her words, it would enable me to use the medical practice of aid in dying. I could request and receive a prescription from a physician for medication that I could self-ingest to end my dying process if it became unbearable. The families of those affected deal with witnessing their loved one disintegrate right before their very eyes, and it can be traumatizing to watch a relative, friend, or significant other deal with knowledge that medical assistance will be no use. Most would prefer spending their remaining time with the person they enjoy while they're happy and able to have fun in life prior to the decomposure brought on by the illness. Amber Phillips of Philadelphia found out that her mother, Connie Phillips, diagnosis of breast cancer, and was devastated. Connie went through radiation, chemotherapy, had her lymph nodes removed, had her breast removed, and various other home remedies, but still the tumor spread further and eventually into her lungs. By 2011, Connie Phillips' health was very poor, and she began requesting that her family let her discontinue treatment. Amber Phillips told her, "We really just didn't get it. We bought into the possibility or the fairy tale that things were going to get better, when it was so clear that they were getting worse and worse." Finally, in 2012, Amber had a coming-to-Jesus moment that caused her to accept her mother's decision to end her treatment, and at 65 years old, she passed away. Somebody who is not able to access euthanasia spends their days dealing with side effects of medications and treatments, which include nausea, loss of all body hair, and many other detrimental health problems to somebody who already has enough, and it is harder to feel the need to continue a treatment causing such sickness when the outlook is not good regardless. If a person is dealing with immense difficulties going about their daily tasks in life, the prospect of continuing treatment may seem useless, and oftentimes it seems to me that it is a far more ethical thing to ease somebody's suffering by request than to force the person to die slowly and painfully. Everybody does deserve the right to a dignified death. Furthermore, much of the population donates to cancer and AIDS foundations, which supply chemotherapy and radiation to patients, as well as medications, but the necessity of that funding could potentially be reduced if people are able to access medications to end their lives when there are no longer chance of survival. Why waste billions of dollars towards individuals who are not able to be saved? So what determines the meaning of somebody's life precisely? Is it the quantity of years that they have lived, or is it the quality of those years that they were alive? I believe that life should be determined on the hope, happiness, and connections a person is able to make versus the length of time that they had on the earth. While somebody may live to be 30, why force them to suffer for 2 years prior to that time than allowing them to enjoy their few remaining months or years? I would rather live a short and happy life than a long one filled with sorrow. Morals can be varying among many people also, and to some suicide may seem undignified. However, to a person whose life expectancy is drastically cut short, the ability to obtain a medication in order to die when they choose and where they choose, doing what they want, can seem much more peaceful than slipping away in a hospital. In Amber and Connie's case, ending treatment meant that Connie was able to live her remaining days in peace, without narcotics or other drugs that cause side effects such as heart, lung, and hormonal imbalances. The United States reached $100 billion in expenses towards cancer treatments in 2014, according to the Global Oncology Trend Report, which shows that this illness is incredibly expensive and can cause a devastating effect on families and patients if they are or even aren't living in poverty. Furthermore, medications for AIDS reached about 47 million in 2016 and are often required to be administered to combination with others to effectively attack the autoimmune disorder. This is unfortunate for families who don't have enough money to pay for the medication needed to help with symptoms and to prolong their life. So what can you do? Contacting your local senator or congressman in relation to the laws concerning assisted suicide could be beneficial because the public needs to make their voice heard and create a drive, a need for the government to take any form of action. The Compassionate Care Act was introduced in the Senate of May of 2016, and it outlines the importance of providing end-of-life and advanced care planning. This is a great step in the right direction, but does not expand beyond hospice care. Currently, the states are able to decide individually upon euthanasia for patients and who qualifies for it, but I believe that it would be much more efficient and beneficial if it were able to become a national system. Creating a petition to legalize euthanasia throughout America could be a good way to enact change, because if citizens are in agreement with a controversial topic, oftentimes our government takes note of the problems and begins to consider them more seriously. So what would you do if your child was suffering beyond repair? Would you prefer them to pass away in the hospital, nauseous and fighting, or would you prefer they spend their remaining time at home, doing the things they love and spending time with friends and family with the ability to just be a kid and not a patient before they go? The negative impact radiation and chemotherapy has on people tends to be stronger than the positives, considering the success rates are not very promising. When the choice is between risking your quality of life hoping to gain it back or spending your time waiting for the day that just feels right to pass, I think many people would choose living their lives normally with their families and accepting death as their upcoming fate. If your mother was suffering like Amber Phillips was, would you push her to continue her pain? Or would you accept her unwillingness to deal with being debilitated? Overall, an expansion of the Compassionate Care Act would allow people to discontinue the forced suffering induced by having terminal illness and no ability to pass peacefully. If we were able to reduce the sorrow burdening a sick person, why not do so? Why not give Brittany or Connie the peace that they deserve, surrounded by comfort and those who love them? That is the least we can do for them. Their quality of life, in my opinion, is far more important than the quantity, and that is what is most important to consider in this argument. Thank you.